Hey everybody.
Hello.
We talked to some people and they said, hey, why don't you guys just film you guys talking after you go to a restaurant, and then you can get a immediate response to our restaurant review.
Indeed.
So get a little piece of the cover in here.
So here we are taping us as we are leaving a restaurant called the Brewery. It is in Clinton Township on Hayes, between like 17 and 18 Mile Road. I've passed by this place many, many times.
As have I.
I've always thought it was closed because they don't open till 4 o'clock. And honestly, it seems like they have really almost nothing to do with beer.
Yeah, and I drove by a million times and saw the brewery, but I actually thought it was some like second-rate brewery that thought they were going to be a great brewery and had great beer, but all they had was mediocre beer and hot pretzels, and frankly, I wasn't interested.
Right. So it's my beautiful, gorgeous Hot Dish's birthday tomorrow. So she looked this place up online and said, let's try it. It's something new. We always like to try something new. So we thought we'd come here today, and we did. The place has been around since 1980, which, believe it or not, is almost 40 years. And I've lived in this area my entire life and have never really stepped foot in it, which is a little odd.
No, as have I. I've never been in there either. Well, I was not interviewing, but I was looking up some places for us to eat for my birthday, and I stumbled across the menu, and it looked kind of eclectic, it looked kind of interesting, so I thought we should try it.
So we made reservations for 7 o'clock tonight. We got there early, about 6:30, and the table obviously was not ready.
Sorry.
But
Sorry.
so we thought we'd sit at the bar, and we did. And we had met a very nice bartender named Michelle, who hooked us up with. I had an old-fashioned, which was very good. Wasn't my best old-fashioned, but it was very tasty. And Jen ordered a. Well, they don't have it on the menu, but she made it special for them. They have a strawberry mojito. Jen asked if she could make a raspberry one, and she made it. And I guess it was pretty good.
It was pretty good. The only complaint I have about a mojito is because when they muddle all the fruit and everything at the bottom, it's kind of hard to drink because you've got all the mint leaves and the lime, and now you've got muddled raspberry in there. It's a little hard to drink. Muddled is a good word because it's kind of a muddled mess down there, but the drink itself was really good, not too sweet. It was really good.
Yeah, I stay away from mojitos. I think they're gross, but that's a different topic.
But I should digress a little bit and talk about when we first came in, and we checked in at the receptionist area. Every time we go and we make reservations, we show up a little early and we say, hey, we're here a little early. They all seem offended. Like, well, it is only 6:30. We can't get you until 7. You know, like, oh, you're here too early.
We can't accommodate you.
And then I said we'd sit at the bar, but then everything at the bar had reserved spots, you know, like reserved. So I told her we couldn't sit at the bar because it was reserved sign. She said, don't worry about those. Just go ahead and sit anyways.
So we sat at the bar, and it was good. This place, for some of you who have been around other restaurants, it kind of is a reminiscent of if you took some of the qualities of the Masters, mixed it with Paul's Chop House, the one in Roseville, you know, and an older style restaurant like that, family run. You know, they haven't really updated in a while, but it works. It's a nice atmosphere, and the place is busy. People are coming, all kinds of people, you know, young, old. It definitely is booming.
Yeah, it definitely had a Paul's Chop House feel. It had that old kind of mafioso type feel, where it's an old mafioso type restaurant. Had that kind of old steakhouse feel.
Yeah.
But like we were saying, we wound up sitting at the bar waiting for our table, and the bartender Michelle was so nice and the lady next to us, we were having a lovely conversation that we decided to stay at the bar.
Right.
We never did take our table.
So we ordered a couple cocktails, and we were looking at the menu, and we decided on a few things. The menu is very eclectic. I mean, they have got a nice variety of seafood and steaks and other items, and it seems like there's something for everybody here, with the menu, of course, not being overly large, but it's broad enough for a very large appeal for many people.
Yeah, if you're vegetarian, you like seafood, you like steaks. It really had something for everyone. The one thing that was really recommended that I wound up going with was the braised short ribs on a horseradish risotto and onion straws. And I also had to try the French onion soup because, as you know, if you ever read our blogs before, that is one of the things that I gauge a good restaurant by, is how their French onion soup is.
Right.
And then
I wasn't in the mood for anything super heavy, so I wanted to stick with seafood. I had an appetizer of oysters Rockefeller, which I guess in retrospect is kind of heavy with all the cheese on it. But and I also, for my entree, I ordered the Roadhouse style frog legs. And no, that has nothing to do with the Patrick Swayze movie. It's just the way they are lightly breaded and sautéed.
Yeah.
Anyway,
By the way, if there's something gross on the menu, Omar will order it. If there's like bone marrow, he will order it. If there's something totally weird and disgusting.
She digresses, but I have ordered bone marrow on the menu, and it's actually very good. It's delicious and creamy and savory, and everybody should have some. Anyway,
Sorry.
So the oysters Rockefeller was your traditional type, baked oysters that had a bed of spinach and bacon and cheese on it, and it's very good. You can't go wrong with bacon, spinach, and cheese. It's just good.
You can when you add a gross little oyster inside there. It kind of just ruins it. It takes what's a beautiful spinach dip and it makes it like part of an aquarium. It's gross.
No, but honestly, though, if you want to have oysters, again, for a different time, they should always be on the half shell. That's the best way to have them. But again, I digress. So I enjoyed my appetizer. I thought it was very good. Oh, and let's get to the bread basket. The bread basket had some.
That's good.
It was very good. The bread basket had some very warm rolls that they had to be homemade, house made. They were very, very good. Just a hint crusty on the outside, which is always good, and I like that chewy airiness on the inside, and that's what they had.
Rolls were amazing. They were really, really good. And you know, they bring you like a million of the little pats of butter, so
yeah.
Slather your rolls up with the butter. So good.
And there was breadsticks too, by the way.
Yeah, and the breadsticks, which I did not think would be as good as the Masters or Boodles. They were delicious. They were, I almost want to say homemade breadsticks because they were so shaped unusually.
Yeah,
but
they were.
Nice sesame breadsticks. Oh my gosh.
Very
Dip
good.
them in the butter. That's all I needed.
My dinner came with a choice of super salad. I opted to upgrade from the house minestrone to a seafood bisque, and instead of potatoes, which I'm kind of potatoed out recently, I opted for the
Vegetables.
a vegetable medley, which was squash and beans and carrots and your typical summer medley of sautéed vegetables.
Yeah. I started my meal with the French onion soup. So French onion soup, as you know, for me is like one of the key factors of how I determine which is a good restaurant and which isn't. So let's just start with the cheese on top. The cheese on top was impeccable. There was so much cheese. It was the right kind of cheese. It was melted perfectly. It was on top some French baguette, which, if you've ever heard me complain about French onion soup, if you put rye in there or rye croutons, just not the same. But you need a nice piece of baguette. My only complaint is that nice piece of baguette needs to be really dried out and really like toasted.
Or stale.
I know that sounds gross, but it needs to be stale and dried out. Almost like a cracker almost in there to hold the cheese and to keep the soup in there right. But this one was almost just like a slice of bread with the cheese on top. So in some regard it was a good flavor, but it was a little too doughy, so it needed to be dried out. But the broth in the soup was a D for me. It was not very good. Where are you going? We're going to the Masters.
Okay.
Sorry, a little diversion there. So the broth itself was a little pale, and it didn't really have much flavor. It needed a lot more depth of onion flavor. I don't think the onions were caramelized like they should be. and there was absolutely no beef flavor whatsoever. It almost seemed like they took the onions and added either chicken stock to it or water, and then just added some thickeners. The broth itself was not good, but the soup overall was pretty good. The cheese was good, it saved it, and the onions were okay, they just need to be caramelized more. So overall, I think I give the soup about a C.
Yeah, and like I said, my oysters Rockefeller were good. They definitely get an A. Now I guess onto the entrees.
Well, what about, did you do your seafood chowder?
Oh yes, excuse me, seafood bisque actually.
Oh, seafood
Thank
bisque.
you.
My fault.
Seafood bisque. Now the seafood bisque was good. It was creamy. It didn't blow me away though. Like Jen is saying, when you order French onion soup, it needs to be beefy and oniony, and it needs to be a dark mahogany color. That's what it needs to be. The seafood bisque needs to have more of a seafood punch to it. This had a hint of seafood punch. It was good, just not great. I'd probably give it about a C. Now my frog legs were very good, and they were ample too. There was quite a few of them. I anticipated there'd just be a very small amount, but there was a big handful of frog legs. And frog legs, if anybody's ever had them, it's like if you took fish and chips met fried chicken and they had some type of weird offspring. But it's actually very good, and these were cooked to perfection. They were tasty. They just needed a hint more seasoning, and that would have really, like Emerald would say, kicked it up a notch.
So I got the braised short ribs because everyone raved about them. I love a nice hearty meal, a nice home-cooked kind of comfort meal. I'm kind of a sucker for pot roast and potatoes. So I realized tonight that braised short ribs is really nothing more than glamorized pot roast. It really is. I mean, once you take the bones out of the short ribs and you braise them all day long, you really just got a nice piece of pot roast. So the pot roast was, it had this really good kind of reduced au jus on there, which was a really kind of a heavier kind of au jus. It had more of a beef flavor to it. That was on top of the horseradish risotto, which was, the short ribs were on top of the risotto, and then you have the au jus. The only thing I didn't really care for in the dish was all the onion straws on top. I think that kind of, sorry. I think the onion straws on top kind of, I don't know, I kind of think it dumbed the dish down a little bit. It kind of unclassified it. Yeah. That doesn't sound like it unclassified it, so it's no longer classified material. No, it was no longer as classy as it should be.
From the dish.
Yeah, it definitely detracted from the dish. Sorry.
It's just, no, it didn't belong there.
No.
I tried it. The risotto was nice and creamy. It was very good. I think it had just the perfect amount of horseradish. I know Jen wanted more.
I would have liked more of a horseradish punch. I think in contrast to the beef that was, it was pretty simple, actually. You're talking about just a chunk of what essentially is a chunk of pot roast. To have a really good horseradish, a really punchy one, would have been a good offset. And I think it had just a hint of horseradish. I would like more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now I guess it's kind of overall what we thought of the place and whether we would go back.
Well, and lastly, it was my birthday, and they knew it was my birthday. I got nothing. No, where's my free cake? Where's my little ice cream scoop with my little candle in it? Yeah. I got nothing.
Yeah, I did tell them when we made the reservation that it was my wife's birthday, and we told them at the bar it was my wife's birthday, and I mean, not like we're begging for food, but usually when somebody hears it's your birthday, they give you
that's all.
Something, a small piece of cake or something, but whatever. Yeah. Anyway, overall, I think we would definitely go back.
I would definitely go back.
It was fun. We enjoyed the experience. I would definitely try something different. The frog legs were good, but there's so much on the menu. I mean, but there's large steaks, there's pork chop, there's all kinds of seafood. It's a nice, good menu, and it doesn't break the bank. I mean,
right.
It's reasonable for, again, dining out in a not quite a fine dining restaurant, but a little more upscale type of place.
So it's definitely not a third-rate brewery with
No.
pretzels, hot pretzels.
No.
It's definitely something more.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we'd both go back. I think we were both pretty happy with it. I think we'd both go back. All in all, I think we give it 2 thumbs up. Ah! God damn it. I can't get up. Got stuck. Oh, I could edit that piece out. It's like I got stuck in my seatbelt, so I couldn't change anything. God.
Anyway.
Damn security system. Anyways, we're off to the Masters for a little piano playing and a little music and a little...
Maybe a piece of that birthday cake that she didn't get.
Maybe some carrot cake.
Thanks for watching. Good night.